So welcome, everyone. And if anybody has any chat questions, just go in there and chat them up, and we will put them to Dr. Forrest here.
Yeah, please ask some questions. I love answering questions. So send them on in. Send them in when you think of them, and then we'll hit them.
Gotcha. All right. So first off, picture, if you will, a young college student studying to make a successful career, right? Graduates, takes some more classes, becomes one of the best and youngest in his field of expertise, his or her field of expertise, marries, starts a family, has all the obligations and responsibilities of doing that, is the engine that runs the train, and is loving life. Things are going great. One morning wakes up and most of it's gone. Health, job, practice, livelihood, scary position. I've attended many masterminds, and that scenario is often talked about. Everybody answers, hey, disability insurance, I don't want to start over, but never do you really think it's going to happen to you. So if you're a doctor, a dentist, own your own company, a nurse, a professional athlete, etc., what should you be doing now if something like that is going to happen to you in the future? Let me introduce my friend, Dr. Forrest Bryant. The scenario I just portrayed is Dr. Bryant's story. I'm proud to call him my friend because he reinvented himself. He took those problems and turned them into opportunities, which shows the character of the man. He leads a group of successful individuals, mostly doctors, dentists, and entrepreneurs. He invited me to one of his groups. I was very much impressed. His group is focused on getting the most out of your time and effort, as well as having a plan B. I've seen Forrest work with individuals to make their practice bigger and better, then also how to derive more time and leisure and partially exit, off the hamster wheel before you're forced to. So I thought it'd be good to introduce someone who's faced this major crisis and come out better on the other side. Today's interview with Forrest hopefully will help you know him better and possibly help you along the learning curve to a more financial, healthy, and secure lifestyle. I try to bring people into my circle so that I can become better and learn from others. Forrest is one of those people I'm glad to call my friend. I hate to reinvent the wheel. If I can learn from others' mistakes rather than my own, it's way better for me. As always, I have to let you know everything today is for educational purposes, and CamaPlan never endorses or recommends any products or persons. We suggest you always do your due diligence and consult with your professional advisors before you do anything with any investments or any people. So, Forrest, welcome, and thanks a lot for giving us your time today. Did I leave anything out that you think the audience should know?
I tell you, you did an excellent job, Carl. Thank you so much for that intro. I really appreciate being here. I'm excited. I'm passionate about what we do, and I'm looking forward to hopefully bringing a lot of value to your listeners today.
No, that's why I like to have you here. I'm always surprised with what you bring. Do you have any slides to show today, or I mean, what would you have? Let me do this. What would you have done different, knowing your past circumstances in this story? Anything?
Oh, wow. Well, before I answer that, you did a really good job. And so let me just kind of, I guess, put that into my words just a little bit. Sometimes it's difficult to talk about, Carl. Going through something like a major health crisis is sometimes hard. And a lot of times, to be quite honest, I don't like to talk about it, but I do it because I think it can provide value to somebody. And what happened to me with my health situation Lord willing, probably, hopefully won't ever happen to anybody on this call. But very difficult times do come along. One of my ministers used to say, if you're not in the storm, you're heading into it. So, just about everybody will go through some sort of challenging time throughout their career. And, that could be, it could be a disability. It could be a death of a loved one. It could be a divorce. It could be a bankruptcy. I mean, there's a lot of things that, I'm sure you have a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners on this call and that are listening. And, things change. And if you're doing business the way that you were doing business 5 or even 10 years ago, you need to be careful. You have to be in a situation where you can evolve and that you can know what's going on in the marketplace, and you have to be able to look into the future and predict and forecast what's going to happen and position your business in a place where you're not scared of things changing. You welcome the change and you're prepared for it. So, there may be listeners that are going through a very difficult time right now. And, part of my message is that you can get out of it and you can thrive and you can reinvent yourself. But one of the first things that you got to make sure that is in place is just a positive mindset. I mean, that's probably number one. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could talk about that I did right. There's having a real business that's not dependent on you, having systems and processes in place. Insurance, of course, is a very important part of that for any of your doctors, dentists, small business owners. Not to get, this is not a talk about disability insurance, but I usually say it when I have an audience, but I call it the trifecta of bulletproof insurance, disability, and for most healthcare providers, that's going to be individual disability, group long-term disability, and business overhead. And so that covers most practitioners, but almost more. I mean, that's super important, obviously. But having a real business that's not 100% dependent on your shoulders is, one of the most important things that you can do. And so a lot of people, have a business, but it's still dependent on them. And so that, that's not the type of business that can generate an income if you get sick and if you can't go to work, or if something happens to you and you need to plug and play some major key players. You've got to have a business that you're able to do that. So, little segue there, but would I do anything differently? Oh man, I don't know, Carl. That's a great question. I don't know that anybody's asked me. I did a lot of things right, put it that way. I did a lot of things right, and I always felt like, and I try not to get too political, and I try not to get too religious, but I am a Christian unabashedly, and I just felt like the Lord was watching over me and protecting me and guiding my steps the whole way, and I still feel that way today. So having a strong faith is equally important to having that good positive attitude.
Yeah, well, I guess if you could have made a decision not to be sick, that would have been good, but we don't always get that choice. So let me ask you today, what are you passionate about now? What would you say your number 1 or 2 top passions are?
Well, let me because I hadn't even told people what I do now. So let me take a second and let me just kind of outline a little bit how I transitioned from being a dentist and practicing dentistry for almost 20 years and having starting off as an employee in a practice and was very entrepreneurial and grew it where I was the main producer in multi practices, and then ultimately just some of it through my entrepreneurial spirit, and then some of it overlapped through the health issues that started really kind of elevated to that to the CEO of the business. And we continued to expand multiple locations, multiple providers, and really ramped it up to a space and to a position where ultimately I sold the entire business. And so got transitioned from that into financial planning for high net worth individuals and for business owners, and was really helping them, got securities licensed and insurance, and was really helping them with their business. I was working for a big, one of the biggest national companies, and I did that for a little while and got a lot of really good experience. And then we started our own business. We launched our new business 13 months ago, right back in the summer of 2017. And so what we do now, I'm the CEO of High Speed Alliance, and High Speed Alliance is a community of like-minded individuals that are seeking to create freedom and legacy in their life, and we do that by helping them with their business, their finances, their family, and their lifestyle. And so, we have really two sides of our community. One side of our community is doctors and dentists and small business owners who come to us. We help them with their business. We optimize their business. We help them optimize their active income by helping them with tax reduction strategies. And then we help them with investments. And a lot of times those investments some of them are traditional, some of them are alternative. We have a heavy slant towards real estate. So a lot of those can be directed into a self-directed environment. So that's where Carl and I met through CamaPlan, is myself and our clients putting some of that retirement money, IRA money, HSA money into a self-directed environment where you can take advantage of the incredible world of options of investments that are available in self-directed environments. So, some of the things that we do are different types of syndications, whether that's in apartment complexes, self-storage facilities, senior living, anything to do with those types of entities. We also do private lending, and within our community, we've got lenders and borrowers. So we've got access to deal flow within our community. So we've got borrowers all across the U.S. and lots of different markets. And so, we have basically the two sides where we have the capital side where we've got money that needs to go to work, and then on the other side we've got different types of investments in the traditional and alternative. So, and we also bring a lot of really smart people to the community: accountants, attorneys, business coaches, business marketing experts. Just a lot of really cool people, and then there's a lot of deal flow. So that's really important. And one thing you mentioned it on the front part, but we are an investment advisor. We're a state registered investment advisor. So I'll just echo your compliance note on the front that as we get into the show and start talking about some different things, please do not make any changes to your financial plan based on what you hear on this show or any show. I don't know anything about your finances, and so what you're hearing today is for education, in my opinion, today, and it's in general, and it's not focused towards you. So there's my disclaimer. So I don't even remember what the question was, Carl. What was it?
Well, I think you kind of answered it.
Did you get it?
My main question was, what are you passionate about now? And it sounds like this group that you're leading, based on that little description you had there.
So, I love helping people. I mean, I always felt like when I went through this really tough time, I mean, I was just like so many other physicians. I mean, I had a beautiful wife and I had two kids and I owned a business, and, I just had my head down and I was just working hard, but it seemed like life was it was just on the fast track. And, I was passionate about, certain causes in my community and, helping people. But, I felt like I had a bigger purpose and a bigger reach. And so, now I really get to dig in deep and get really involved in people's lives and their goals and their dreams. And I really help them, put some reality to that and make plans to accomplish those goals. So, I that's what I get excited about. I get excited about helping people, and that's just fun to me. I mean, I love what I do, and we're having a great time now, and it's just a lot of fun. And I love learning. I've always been a lifelong learner, and so going from science and medicine and using one side of your brain and then going into finance and economics and investments on the other side, and it helps kind of keep both sides stimulated. So it's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And something that's a little bit different, and I don't want people to put you in the broad brush financial advisor category, but you hold periodic meetings, in different areas of the country. I've attended several of these, in Huntsville Airport, in Sandestin, Panhandle of Alabama or Florida area, very beautiful area, New York City. Um, can you tell our audience what happens at some of these meetings?
Yeah, sure.
Because, I think you bring in, you go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, yeah. So, part of this community that we're building is it's based on relationships, and here this is a good comment, and I was going to weave this in. I probably will later, but usually when we're looking at investments, and I'm sure everybody that's on the call today is that's one thing that they're thinking about, and a lot of times. The very first question they ask is, they want to get into the deal and they want to look at a certain deal. And so, that can be any deal. That could be a stock, it could be a mutual fund, it could be a rental property, it could be a private lending note, or it could be a tax lien. It does, whatever that is, they want to go into the deal, go into the deal, go into the deal. And, one thing that I like to teach is to back up. And, there's three things that are really important about every deal. And of course, obviously, the deal is one, but for me, that's number three. Number one is the people that you're in the deal with. So, number one is people, and number two is market. And so, whether that's the market of this certain town or this MSA or private lending or multifamily or self-storage, not only the asset where, what asset class it is, but also where that is. So those are some very important things. And then the deal is kind of the least important of the three. And so with people being one of the most important things, we build out this community. And so at our meetings, you actually get to meet with the people that are on the other side of the investments. It shocks me that so many people these days are doing so much investment over the internet, and they're buying properties that are out of state, which with people that they don't even know. And that seems to me, there's a quote that an educated investor is a safe investor. People, you got to know who you're doing business with, and you've got to be educated about what you're investing into. And that's a super important thing. So that's one of the things that we really focus on, is getting to know the people on the other side of the deal, and getting to know them, shake their hand, break bread with them, and spend some time with them. And so that's a really big part. But we also have just a tremendous amount of education that goes on at our meetings. So at our last meeting, we have talks on tax reduction strategies, on business, on different types of assets, and self-directed environment, tax-free, tax-deferred investing. We talk about apartment complexes, self-storage, senior living. We go into some other things, different types of alternative investments that may not be mainstream. We do look at, occasionally we look at some speculative stuff, and so maybe that's some angel investing, or maybe some game-changing technology. So there's a lot of different things that we look at. And so, it's really, those meetings are really about education, and they're really about networking. So that's really what we do. But we do, we usually have a quarterly meeting, and then we're expanding that out. And we do take our show on the road a little bit. We will have some meetings coming up in your neck of the woods, up in not too far up in New York City this fall. And so, if you're out there and you're listening, and you'd like to know more about that, please let me or Carl know. We'll have that. I'm sure you know how to get in touch with Carl, but we'd love to meet you. And then we also do some meetings in the Southeast, in Alabama and Florida. And then we also are coming out to the West Coast end of the year. So we'll be out in Utah. So we part of what we do is about lifestyle, and just having a good time and being with people that you really like. And so we have a good time.
Hey, Forrest, thanks for that. But if they want to know about your group and that stuff, I'd just like for them to contact you directly, if that's possible. I just
Sure.
pulled up your High Speed Alliance webpage here, and it has a phone number. Is that your cell?
Yep, that's my cell, and there's a contact on our highspeedalliance.com/contact. You can punch in your information there. That's a great place to reach out to me. My email's Dr. B, which is DRB highspeedalliance.com. So you can just email me directly, and the website's highspeedalliance.com, and I'm sure Carl can probably put that in the show notes somewhere. But
Yep.
that's enough about me. I feel like I'm selling. I don't like to sell. I just like to I like to educate. So can we jump into the top 9 things? Is
Um,
that cool?
yeah, yeah, I would, but I'd also like, because one of the things I find interesting, unless this is one of the top 9 things, is that you have a call, I think, like every week or two, and you go over some economic signs and leading indicators of the economy and things like that,
Sure.
which I always find interesting. And I just want people, especially my clients, to have a place that maybe they can reach out and get better data than where they're getting it now, or at least check out with some of the stuff that you provide, because I found it fairly interesting on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
uh,
appreciate that. We have as far as getting information out, and I guess let me draw a line here for public information. We put a lot of information out on some on our website, and then we also have if you fill out that form, you'll get on our email list. And so we have our own podcast, and we have a lot of really great guests. Carl's been a guest on our show, and so we put out a lot of good information there. But obviously, for our members and for our clients, we have some private information, like the calls that you're referencing. Those are for clients only, so that that information is you have to be inside the community to get access to that. But we do talk about a lot of current events, and we talk about the yield rate inversion, and there's just a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. So I like our community to be knowledgeable, not fearful, but excited about the future, and be prepared to make substantial wealth through the next phase. So that's really what we're getting prepared to do.
all right, well, instead of me asking all the questions, I'm going to let you go ahead and go through whatever you want, since you've been so kind to give me your time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you being here. So, I just I put together. I was trying to think of I always like to over deliver. So I put together something just special for you, Carl, and for your listeners. So I called it the top 9 things to know for self-directed investors. So hopefully for your people that are on the call today, some of this they probably already know. Some of it might be a little bit repeat, but maybe you've got some newbies, or maybe some very advanced investors that are on here, that it may spur some questions and maybe get them up the education and knowledge tree a little bit quicker. But I'll just zip through them real quick, and then
Do,
we can kind of circle back around.
do you
And
have slide? Do you have slides, or
no,
you?
I
Okay,
didn't prep any slides.
all right, that's fine. Good.
I can next time. Have me back, and I'll put this into a presentation. It was just something I put together pretty quick last night.
No,
But
no problem.
okay, so let's dig into here. So I thought this would be helpful for your listeners. Okay, number 1, in order to have a truly self-directed a plan or account, you've got to have a self-directed custodian. A lot of times, as people come to see us, a lot of times, they say, "Oh yeah, I've got a self-directed account." They give me all these options, and let me pick the ones that I want to. And usually, I guess the easy delineator for you guys that are listening is if if the things that your custodian are offering to you, or the things that they sell, then it's not a self-directed account. So make sure that and I know you probably have a lot of people that enjoy real estate investing inside their IRAs. So you got to be with CamaPlan or another self-directed custodian in order to take advantage of that. But I see a lot of people that think they have self-directed accounts, and they're truly not. So while I got hopefully everybody on here has a CamaPlan account. So if you don't have one, open up one today and get you a bunch of them. Number 2, understand taxation, and understand the difference between tax-free and tax-deferred. And this is a big one. And a lot of times, I even run into some very educated investors that still get kind of tripped up on this. but it's really an important piece to, developing some tactics and strategies to reduce taxes, especially for high income and for business owners, to really understand the tax-free environment and how, depending on your situation, a lot of very, very wealthy people are trying to get as much money as they can into tax-free environment. And so, there's certain rules that you got to follow in order to do that. But we see a lot of people that are trying to get money into Roth IRAs and the tax-free environment. Roth IRAs, health savings accounts, and Roth 401ks are some of the tax-free environments. Also ESAs, and then pretty much everything else is going to be tax deferred. So there's a lot of tax deferrals, and a lot of people invest in those things, and they don't, sometimes they just think, I'm going to build that up, and they don't really think about the taxation. And that's one thing that we really help our clients do, is really map that out. And if you're going to be taking withdrawals in your retirement from those tax deferred accounts, that money's taxable. So you have to pay taxes on that. So you have to really, work with someone who really understands that taxation and understands that, one thing that we teach is, of course, passive income is very important, and having multiple streams of income is super important. A lot of our clients have dozens of income streams, and many of those are going to be passive, either now or in retirement. So, if you have one income stream right now, you're in a very dangerous position. So make sure you expand out and you have multiple income streams. And, think about having multiple tax-free income streams in retirement. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. So we can kind of get into that later if you want to. Number 3, get a mentor. Self-directed investing it's not any harder than investing in other types of accounts, and but really you've got to have somebody who knows what they're doing and somebody who does it routinely. Find a mentor who can really help you. You can make some mistakes, and I've seen some mistakes, and I'm sure Carl's seen some mistakes, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit. But you've got to know what you're doing, and I do not recommend doing this on your own. You can, Carl is a very big-hearted, giving soul, and his team will bend over backwards to help you. But if you're depending on CamaPlan for all of your support for your self-directed investment endeavors, you're missing out on a lot. If you don't have promissory notes and deeds, and if you don't have all the paperwork or have access to people who have that type of deal flow, and you're depending on Carl, they don't. He'll help you any way he can, but there's certain compliance issues that they've got to be cautious with, and you need to get a mentor. You need to be and the next one is going one step higher, but need to really think about having a mentor, somebody who's really experienced, that can help you go through the paperwork and can help you evaluate the risk. One thing that we help our clients with is really looking at their risk tolerance, and depending on hey, if you're 25 or if you're 65, that's a typically you're different time horizon, different objectives, different risk tolerance. And there's some things that you should do at 25 that you shouldn't do at 65, and vice versa. So, you really need to understand those things, and you need to have somebody that can really help you decide what's the best thing for you to do. The next one, number 4, join a community. Even you need to have a mentor, but you really need to be in a community. And that's one thing that we're trying to build, is a community of people that are coming together that love different types of investments, that can help you talk through notes or tax liens or investing in apartments or self-storage facilities, or can help you with this, building a single family portfolio and the different types of financing that go along with that. Being in a community where you can talk about these things, and one of the things that that's different about our community than any other is just you got all of these different business owners and people that have this vast knowledge in lots of different areas. And so being able to cross from the businesses to the traditional investing to the alternative investing, you just got some really, really smart people that can bring a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge, and they can really help you just tell you, hey man, you're on the right track, or whoa, hang on, I've done that before, and these are the things you need to be careful. And so, that really provides a lot of value. We call that leveraging your relationship capital, and just really understanding that that some of the people that are in your life or in that community can really help you get to where you want to get to much faster than you can do it on your own. So, don't try to do this on your own. You need to really join a community. Um, Self-directed investing. You can get burned. The IRS is watching. A lot of people think that they don't pay attention to what's going on over there, but they are paying attention. I mean, you do have to fill out those valuation forms, and they are watching. And if you make a mistake, and I think we've got it coming up, some of the things to make sure you avoid are coming up a little further in my list here, but they will take your money. They like to have your money. They like to have as much as they can get of it. And if you don't follow the rules, they'll take your money, and they'll take the assets in there as well. So make sure you're doing it right, and just make sure you got a mentor and a community that you're involved in. The next one, I don't know, I don't know if this is something you guys regularly talk about, but with other guests on your show, but I know it's a big topic, and that's just the taxes and unrelated debt financed income, or unrelated business taxable income, UBIT or UBTI or UDFI. There's a lot of different terminologies that go along with it, but one of the beautiful things about self-directed investing is you can use leverage inside your retirement account. And so, a lot of people don't realize it. I mean, you could actually go out, and the rules are different, and there's, not every lender does this, but you can actually obtain non-recourse financing on a rental property or other investment properties. And you can, I mean, for all the same reasons that it makes sense to leverage a rental property outside of a retirement account, it can make sense to leverage a property inside a retirement account. It's a very controversial subject. Some people love it, some people hate it. It makes sense for some people, it doesn't make sense for others. So I'm not necessarily, please, don't go out and do this just because you heard about it from me or on this show. But you can do it. But one of the things that you do need to understand is you need to have a very knowledgeable accountant, and that probably should have been number one. You need to really work with somebody. You need to really have a great accountant and CPA who understands what you're doing. They understand real estate. They understand how to calculate the UBTI, the unrelated business taxable income, or the unrelated debt financed income. And they need to understand that, and they need to know how to calculate it, and how to bill for it, and how to charge that expense to your IRA or to your retirement account. So there's a lot of things that go in there, but need to have a very experienced tax reduction specialist on your team if you're getting into doing some of these higher level things. So you can do it, but make sure that you got a good team put together, and make sure you have a mentor and a community that's kind of helping you get through that. Number 6, get educated. That's such a big one. We said that earlier. An educated investor is a safe investor. So if you don't understand the investment, don't invest in it. I mean, that's that's where people lose money, is where they do things that they don't understand. If you don't understand it, you really need to get educated on it till you really fully understand it, and make sure you're doing these other things. Make sure you have a mentor, and make sure you have advisors and a community that can really help you get through that. There are some incredible things that you can do inside your self-directed account, but you got to know what you're doing, and you can certainly, like I said, you can certainly step in some places that you wish you hadn't. Number 7, importance of deal flow. It makes you could know everything about being a private lender, and you could have lots of money, and you could have all that money in the right account. You say you got a big self-directed Roth IRA, and you're like, all right, man, I'm ready to go. I'm going to be a private lender, and I want to lend this money out. But if you don't know the people, then you don't have a borrower. And in order to be a private lender, there's got to be somebody on the other side who has a business, and they need to borrow that money in order to ramp up their business. And so you got to have that deal flow. You can't underestimate the deal flow, and not just having a borrow over there, but somebody that like, and trust, somebody that that people that they've done business with. So don't want to underestimate the deal flow part of the equation. You got to have that. You got to have if you're wanting to lend, you got to have borrowers. If you're wanting to do real estate rentals inside your retirement account, you got to have the right types of properties and the right type of leverage and the right type of management, and you got to buy properties that you understand what type of maintenance they're going to need for the long haul. So there's a lot of things that go in there, and you just have to have the right people that can help you with the deal flow. So that's an important thing, and I think a big overlooked part of the equation
Yeah, I mean
for a lot of new investors.
yeah, that's very important, Forrest. And I know you said I could help, but basically we don't sell any products. We don't give it to them. So I like when your people come and you've helped the people vet them, and you've done some good education with it. I think that all helps make for successful investments and a successful financial future. So please continue on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carl's in a great shape and a great place. And I know he likes to make that clear that I think a lot of people are. I know Carl and I have talked about this before. Some people, sometimes we talk about Mitt Romney's, these IRAs that he's got, you know, dozens of millions of dollars in these IRAs, and some people come up and they're like, hey Carl, I want to get one of those, and they don't really understand. Carl doesn't sell Mitt Romney Roth IRAs. I mean, that's something that you got to create. Carl's a custodian, and they don't put you in contact. I mean, they could, but that's not really what they do. They're not going to put you in contact with borrowers, or they're not going to put borrowers in contact with lenders. That's not really what Carl's doing. But you got to be involved in a community, and our community is one place. We're not the only one, but I think we're very special in that aspect. But whether you're in our community or some other community, you got to find a place for solid, consistent deal flow. Number 8, Carl, is the importance of who you do business with. And so I alluded to this a little bit back at the beginning, and just to kind of reiterate that point, the person that's on the other side is the most important part of the equation. The market, the asset allocation and where that is. If you're buying a single, some people, I'll use a single family house as an example. Some people say, oh, I want to buy a few rental properties. So, you go on and I see this all the time. I see clients that come to me and they've got, 20 rental properties in 20 different markets. And I'm like, man, what a nightmare. You're dealing with 20 different management companies. I mean, this is ridiculous. So, they didn't start with the end in mind. And that's the way I like to approach everything. I'm a problem solver, and I like to help people kind of figure out, let's set something up that's going to be exactly what you want in retirement. Let's design it with the end in mind, instead of just nilly-willy just going, oh, this is a great deal, I can get a really good deal on this house. But you're not even taking into consideration, who's the management team, and where are you getting the house, and is it the right type of house in the right type of market? So I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, it could be the best deal on the house, but that doesn't necessarily if you're not in the right market, and you could be a really great deal on a house, but if you're in the wrong market with the wrong people, it's all going to blow up. So just kind of keep that in mind. And number 9, understand, and I'm sure, Carl, you guys have probably talked about this, I hope, but it bears repeating. Understand disqualified persons and prohibited transactions. As I mentioned earlier, the IRS does have very, very specific rules about self-dealing. I see, and I know you probably have a lot of real estate investors on here. You got to be very, very careful. Real estate investors cannot provide services for rental properties that they purchase in their retirement accounts. I've heard guys say, don't even go on the site, don't pick up a hammer. You need to treat it just like it's a business, and that you are arm's length transaction, that you're not supposed to provide an unfair advantage to that property or to that investment that you indirectly own through your IRA. custodian. So, understand, and, all of this stuff is on the IRS website. Some people never go there, but, go to the IRS website and look up prohibited transactions and look up disqualified persons. And, I see people that break these laws all the time. And, we try to help them kind of fix this thing. But, coming from the securities world, I'm ultra cautious. And, I see a lot of things that other people do that make me nervous. And, I just, I really try to get people to understand those rules. And, and here's a little value add. Just if you're looking at something, and from a security test, if you guys want to look up the Howey test, you can just Google it, and there's plenty of videos and documentation on there. But it really defines what is a security. And I see a lot of things. A lot of times, some real estate investors are pretty cavalier with some of the things that they put together and some of the creativity. So if you're ever wondering whether something is a security or not, just go online and look at the Howey test and go through the filter there and see how you answer those questions to determine if it could be considered a security. So that's my top 9 things, Carl. I hope that provides a lot of value. You can ask me any follow-up questions you want, or we can take questions, or we can do whatever you want to do.
Okay. First of all, thank you for that. One of the things I want to tell the listeners is we did a little webinar podcast with attorney John Heyer, and I think it's posted on our site, which goes into a little bit more detail about how the IRS looks at prohibited transactions and raises some questions and gives some direction in that area that you discussed. So we always want our people not to do prohibited transactions, and we spend a lot of time educating them on that as well. But I appreciate all the words on the self-directed IRAs and things like that. Let me ask you, because I heard you mention it, but we've never really had a one-on-one meeting, but you do some one-on-one meetings, don't you? To help individuals with their...
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I do predominantly every day is having one-on-one meetings with our clients. So when we have an example of that, if I've got our avatar, or kind of our normal type of client is usually a middle-aged business owner in healthcare, medicine, or dentistry is a lot of the people that we attract. A lot of times they own a business, they have a home, they have a retirement plan that's moving. A lot of times that may be in a stock environment or a Wall Street environment, traditional type environment, and sometimes they want to change some of the allocation. I think a big misconception out there is that a lot of people come in and you don't necessarily have to go. We're not 100% real estate environment where somebody gets totally out of traditional types of investments. Sometimes we look at the total portfolio, and we look at the real estate portfolio, and we look at the traditional and the alternative, and we in the business. That's a big part of what we do. And so we have private calls where we're looking at everything. We're looking at the business. We're looking at optimizing the business. I mean, we get down deep into the business, and in order to increase the value of the business and increase the systems and processes of the business, try to create a business that's not 100% dependent on the primary person. So we increase that income. We do tax reduction strategies. We're not an accounting firm. We don't do legal either. But we have a lot of areas, and we work with a lot of really great CPAs and accountants to implement those types of strategies. But we help them with that, and then we really help them on the investment side to look at what makes the most sense for them going forward. So, and then we can introduce them to people inside of our community that can help them achieve the goal. And ultimately, and you mentioned it on the front side, And we hadn't really kind of talked about it a whole lot, but freedom is a big one, and a lot of people think that ties into financial freedom, but it's also time freedom. Some of the things that we do are, helping people, bring on leverage as far as and with human capital to bring on executive assistants or to build out and to get things off of the plate of the primary business owners so that they can enjoy life a little bit more, and so they can get, a lot of times we talk about, the different tasks that you do every day. So, maybe there's $10 an hour tasks and $100 an hour tasks and $1,000 an hour tasks and $10,000 an hour tasks. So, you can imagine if your day, if you've got an 8-hour day that you can work, if you're doing $10 an hour tasks all day long, you don't have much time to spend on the $10,000 an hour tasks. And so, we have a system where we help our clients, get more and more and more of the $10 an hour task off of their plate, where they can spend more time on the higher dollar per hour, what we call the highest best use of your time. So, that's one thing. And then that also equates into, more time off, more enjoyment, more time to spend with your family and to travel or to do the things that you're passionate about, and to design a life that allows you to do the things that you want to do and to have a bigger impact. Legacy is a big part of that. Designing a business that has legacy value, designing a family and the causes and the purpose and the what fires you up every day, to be purposeful about those types of decisions, so that when you leave this world, you can hear, well done, good and faithful servant, that you've taken really good care of the things that you've been entrusted with your business and your family, and you've prepared those things, and you've, put them in a place where, they can carry on, and you've protected them, and you've been a good steward of them.
Good work there, Forrest. I brought up your website. I'm not sure if you see it, and I see reserve your seat there. But most of this talks about doctors, but it's not limited to doctors, is it?
No, it's not. We, really any business owner or entrepreneur, we kind of have a tiered system where, we can really help anybody that owns a business. And we do have some, we've got some entrepreneurs that are just getting started that we're passionate about helping. Part of what we do is we get excited about, the time. Sometimes we've got somebody that, is coming in, and it's a whole lot easier to help somebody who's really passionate and they're 25 or 30 and they got a really great idea and they got, a long time to accomplish their goals, versus somebody that comes in, in their mid 60s, and, they want to change everything up. And, sometimes you just run out of time. And so there's a lot of things we can do on both ends of the spectrum. But yeah, I appreciate you bringing that out. We certainly love to help. We do a lot of work with family offices and multifamily offices. So we're really geared to help high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals, but we certainly want to help entrepreneurs that are on their way to being that high net worth individual or that ultra high net worth individual as well. So we certainly want to help them along as well.
So if they go to your highspeedalliance.com website, they can click on these, and please email you, and you can talk to them about how you could possibly help them, or if this is the right group, or maybe direct them into other groups if yours doesn't hit the mark.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that would be the best thing. I mean, I know this is only one event, but I mean, you've got Sandestin, you've got Puerto Rico, you've got New York, and I know I can't make them all, and I'm
Yeah,
sure there's different
yeah,
things.
I appreciate that. The first step usually, if you're listening, and you can go on our website, and we do have a on pretty much, I think it's on every page, but there should be a spot about reserve your spot or attend an event, and you can click on there, and we'll follow up and talk with you, and tell you a little bit more about what we do. And, we're not for everybody. There's some people that we're not a good fit for. And if we feel like that's the case, we'll certainly be glad to help you find, somebody else that might be a better fit for you. But if what we said resonated with you and you like what you heard, we certainly love to meet you at any of our upcoming events. I know we're coming, as I mentioned earlier, we're coming to the Northeast here pretty soon. And so, maybe if you're up around Carl's neck of the woods, if you're up in Philadelphia, New York, Boston, anywhere up in that area, we'd love for you to come meet us and meet some of the guys and gals in our group. And and I mentioned this, and Carl, you were there. We had a female physicians panel at our last event, and that was the first time we'd done that. But that was so cool, and we just have ultimate respect for female physicians. They're caregivers and they're business owners and they're moms and their wives, and they just do so much, and just have a lot of respect for them. But that was really special. We just.
I thought that was special. I mean, talk about an emotional, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
It lets you see a lot of the trials and tribulations and successes and failures and things that women have to endure going through certain things. So it was an eye opener for me.
Yeah.
But
And
that
I
that
think
was
that kind
great.
of dials back to what we kind of talked about at the beginning, and me sharing my story a little bit, everybody, and I like to make sure people understand this. I mean, there's some people out there that, they're struggling and they're not where they want to be. And, I just don't want you to feel alone or feel like you're never going to get ahead. When you look and you see, and it looks like everybody else is just, really doing great, you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And, a lot of people, whether it's public or not, a lot of people have a lot of struggles, and, you can get through it. And it's just really important to be in a community and to be in an environment where they want to see you grow and they're pulling for you, and, they want to see you succeed. So that's really, really critical. But we'd love to see, any of your listeners, love to hop on a call. I usually do a short call, just to get to know you a little bit, and tell you about what we've got coming up down the road and see what might be the best fit for you. So love to chat with any of your guys. And you still there, Carl? I mean, we can take
Yep.
a few questions if you want.
No, I'm good. No, I feel bad that I've taken you over the half hour we scheduled already,
Ah.
but
No, I'm
if you've
I'm
got,
good. I love doing I love doing what I do. It doesn't feel like work when you get to help people. I mean, I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world. You get to learn cool things and meet cool people and travel to cool places, and have an impact and purpose to what we do every day. And I'm building a legacy business as well. I've got two children that hopefully will be interested. They're very interested in what we do. One thing I love, and this is one thing that's really cool. I'll just throw this out there while we're still, if you're out there, you want to ask a question, chat me a question, or send it to Carl. But I love teaching my kids about self-directed, showing them how they can take their Roth IRA and how they can invest that, and how powerful that will be down the road. I mean, I think that's just that gets me excited to be able to educate them and to share that with them. And they both like business, and I just think that they're way ahead of where I was when I was that age.
well, I'm glad you brought up the kids. One of the questions here, and I do have another meeting at 1 o'clock, so I'm going to tell people, Forrest, if you can give them your phone number,
Yeah,
just in
yeah, sure,
case we have to go and they still have questions,
sure.
they can give you a call if you don't mind.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
but what number should they call?
Actually, I'm looking. I see my email. I see we had several of you registered already, so I appreciate you guys sending that in. My cell number is 256-642-1230, 256-642-1230. Best thing to do, probably shoot me you can text me there, and just drop me your name and just say, hey, I heard you on CamaPlan. Can we talk? And I can send you, if I've got, and I think I do actually have a little time blocked off this afternoon, so we can probably chat today. And if this is recorded, who knows when this is going to be if you're hearing this in the future. But and then you got my email too, drb@highspeedalliance, so you can shoot me an email and we'll coordinate and get a time to chat or fill out the contact form on the website. So plenty of places to get in touch with me. So love to chat some more. You guys got my number if you have to roll, Carl. But do you have a question? You want to roll a
Yeah, I
question
just
out?
have, I've got one of the questions here is, you're talking about legacy. What does that actually mean?
Oh, well, I can tell you what it means to me. I can't tell you what it means to you. So, it's different for everybody. The definition of, if you look it up in the Bible, it typically means something that's given from the dead to the living. So you can kind of think about it that way. So, a lot of people think about it like that's money. Like, oh, great grandpa died and he left this business, or he left this real estate, or he left these gold coins, or he left this pot of money. And that's, what it means to a lot of people, that it's an asset. But I think it's bigger than that. I mean, for me, it also encompasses, memories. It encompasses laughter. It encompasses love. It encompasses, all of these things that, there's some intangibles, that go along in there. The family history, the family story, the family DNA, the genealogy of the family. I mean, I think there's a tremendous amount, and we actually did I put together a whole workshop with a workbook that kind of really goes through legacy, that I've partially shared with a small group, but we may come back and do that down the road for a bigger group. But really dig into what, to help you define what that is for you, and how to how to appreciate the legacy that's been poured into you, and how to be purposeful about taking that legacy and pouring it forward to the people that are going to be here after you're gone, whether that's spouse, kids, grandkids, second, third, fourth, fifth, generation down the road. So, part of that, we looked at some companies that have been around multi-generationally, and the oldest company in the world that's still in the same family. And there's a lot of really cool things that you can learn from looking into the rearview mirror, and looking at families that did things right and families that did things wrong, and then pouring that, and through the kind of the filter, the prism that can kind of saturate your decisions, to make those decisions for you going forward, so that you can define your legacy.
Yeah, it's, you did a great job on that, but I don't think these questions are like, thumbnail, uh, you know, talking point answers, but I appreciate you doing that, Forrest. And I would, maybe we can schedule another one where we
Yeah, I'd
can
love
just
to.
make one of those subjects. But right now, if anybody has any questions, please give Forrest a call. Forrest, thank you very much, for coming today and speaking to the group. And do you have any parting words or wisdom, or your favorite book?
Uh, Carl, let me just say thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me share a little bit about our message. I hope I've provided a tremendous amount of value. I hadn't read them all yet, but looks like we had a lot of some texts and some emails come through with some of your CamaPlan universe people signing up, or at least wanting to talk. So I appreciate that. Um, you know. You know, I guess I'd just refer you back to what we talked about earlier, just a kind of parting shot. Life is tough and things getting in the way, but never give up. Get into a community and get mentors and advisors that have been there and done that, and you like what they're doing. And that's just really how you leverage, and how you accomplish your plans, is by leaning on really smart people who care about you, and that don't have an axe to grind, or don't are doing things for the wrong reasons. There's a lot of people out there that are just after your money, and so just make sure that you're in the right place with people that really truly care about you. And I get excited, and hopefully I didn't get too excited. My wife usually gives me the calm down sign. She's not in here, but hopefully I didn't get too excited.
All right, Forrest, thank you very much, Dr. Forrest Bryant, and I appreciate that. And everybody, we enjoyed having you here, and hopefully you learned something that's going to make your day and life brighter.
Yeah.
See
Thank
you
you so
later.
much, Carl. Appreciate being here. And thanks for everybody for listening.